Picture this. You're sitting in your favorite local cafe.
Oh, yeah. Love a good cafe.
Right. The espresso machine is hissing in the background. There's that low, comforting hum of a dozen different conversations just kind of blending together.
And that amazing smell of roasted beans just lingering in the air.
Exactly. You are completely surrounded by people. But, if you're like most of us, you're probably entirely in your own little bubble.
Staring at a screen, usually.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you're staring at your phone, just scrolling through a feed you barely even care about. Or you're lost in a laptop screen, actively avoiding eye contact.
It's just so common these days.
It is. We share these physical spaces every single day, but we so rarely actually connect with the people sitting like mere inches away from us.
Yeah, we really don't.
So, welcome to today's deep dive, because we are going to change how you look at those everyday passing moments.
I'm excited for this one because, honestly, it's remarkably easy to feel isolated in a crowded room.
It really is.
We treat public spaces as mere transit zones, right? Just places we pass through between the private areas of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
But the material we're exploring today offers this really fascinating antidote to that modern isolation. We are examining a concept that's simply titled high-quality social in cafe.
And the origin of this concept is honestly what makes it so incredibly compelling to me.
Oh, it's the best part.
Right. Like, this wasn't written for sociologists. It wasn't designed for corporate networking gurus trying to optimize their handshakes or whatever.
No, not at all.
It's actually drawn from a conversational guide originally designed for English language learners.
Which is just wild to think about.
It's meant to be a step-by-step manual for absolute beginners on how to have a nice, genuine conversation in a coffee shop.
Right.
But here's the brilliant part. By breaking language down into its absolute simplest components, this framework inadvertently dissects the mechanics of charm and approachability and just basic human connection. It breaks down social dynamics in a way that, native speakers almost never consciously think about.
It's so true. When you strip away all the cultural noise, all the complex vocabulary, and all the social anxiety we build up over a lifetime, you get right down to the psychology of why we talk to each other in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
But, before we can learn how to interact properly, we have to define what it is we're actually aiming for here.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the distinction made here between low-quality social and high-quality social is kind of a wake-up call.
It really is. We have to understand why our normal, everyday autopilot interactions fail us so consistently.
Right. So think about your average interaction with a stranger. It usually goes exactly like this, right? Hi. Hi. Nice weather we're having.
Yeah, it was nice.
Bye. Exactly. It's a robotic tennis match. You're just hitting the conversational ball back over the net as quickly as possible.
Purely to get it over with.
Thwack, thwack, duh. I mean, neither of you actually cares about the weather. It's just a reflex to fill the silence.
Right. And what's fascinating here is that the standard for a high-quality conversation completely redefines that interaction.
How so?
Well, a high-quality exchange is not determined by its length at all. In fact, a deeply meaningful interaction can be just 5 minutes long.
Oh, wow. Just 5 minutes?
Yeah. The difference is entirely about moving past the surface level. It requires 3 specific active elements.
Okay, what are they?
Curiosity, demonstrated listening, and genuine care. So going back to your tennis analogy, you're no longer just swatting the ball back across the net to avoid a penalty.
Right.
You're actually catching the ball, walking up to the net, and examining it together.
I love that.
Yeah.
And there's this wonderfully simple example used in the source material to illustrate this, the caramel latte.
Yes, the latte example is perfect.
So low-quality social is seeing the cup on the table next to you and tossing out a passing observation, like, hi, nice coffee.
Which is fine, but it goes nowhere.
Right. But high-quality social is noticing the cup and asking a question that requires the other person to actually reflect.
Mm-hmm.
So you say, is it good? It looks like a caramel latte. Do you like sweet coffee? You're asking a question that requires an actual opinion rather than just a polite nod.
Exactly. It demonstrates curiosity. You're signaling to the other person that you want to know more than just the bare minimum about their reality.
Yeah.
By asking if they prefer sweet coffee, you're inviting them to share a preference. You're validating their existence beyond just being a prop in your background.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate here for a second because there is a massive friction point for a lot of people with this.
Well, I know what you're going to say.
Isn't there a huge risk of just being, annoying? I mean, people are incredibly busy.
They are.
Sometimes I'm in a cafe specifically because I have to send 10 urgent emails, and I absolutely do not want to talk to a stranger about my latte.
Yeah, and that is the exact fear that keeps us in our bubbles.
Right.
But this framework handles that reality beautifully.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. It establishes very strict rules for the pregame. It essentially dictates when it's even appropriate to approach someone.
Okay, so you can't just talk to anyone.
No, definitely not. You're not supposed to just force your desire for connection onto anyone who happens to be breathing nearby.
Yeah.
The fundamental rule before a single word is spoken is that you must rigorously read the room.
Ah, the red lights and the green lights.
Exactly.
We all intuitively know what a red light looks like, but I feel like we often project our own desire to talk over someone else's clear boundaries.
Oh, 100%.
Like if someone has headphones on, the guide says they are functionally invisible, do not talk to them.
Yeah.
If they're typing busily on a computer, leave them alone. If they're staring down at a book and never looking up, that is a hard stop.
Right.
Those are universal nonverbal signals for, I am in my bubble, please let me stay here.
And the psychology of ignoring those red lights is really fascinating. When we interrupt someone with headphones, it's a profound failure of empathy. We're basically deciding that our impulse to speak is more important than their clearly broadcasted desire to disconnect. Recognizing those boundaries is the very first step of high-quality social.
So what about the green lights?
The green lights are much more subtle, but they're equally clear if you train yourself to look for them.
Right, and eye contact seems to be the gold standard here.
Absolutely.
Like if someone is just looking around the room, taking in the space, or if they happen to catch your eye and smile, that is a green light. They're signaling a level of openness to their environment.
And the environment itself plays a crucial role, too. The baseline stress level of the room really matters.
Oh, for sure.
If the cafe is chaotic, loud, packed with a line out the door, the ambient tension is simply too high for a relaxed connection. High-quality social requires a peaceful setting. It needs quiet and calm to take root.
Okay, let's say all the conditions are perfect. It's a quiet Tuesday afternoon. The cafe is calm.
Sounds lovely.
The person at the table next to you looks up from their pastry. They aren't wearing headphones, and they make brief, friendly eye contact. You have a green light.
Okay, go time.
But crossing that invisible barrier is where most of us just freeze.
Yeah.
Like, how do you initiate without sounding totally bizarre?
It's terrifying for a lot of people.
Yeah. But the guidance here is adamant. Avoid weird pickup lines and avoid forcing a massive philosophical topic out of thin air. You use a simple, honest opener anchored entirely in your shared environment.
Yes. Establishing common ground immediately removes the threat response.
Right.
You're both in the exact same physical space, experiencing the exact same sensory inputs. That room is your shared reality. When you anchor your opener in that reality, you aren't an unpredictable stranger anymore. You're a fellow observer of the present moment.
And the examples the source gives are so refreshingly mundane. Just mentioning the physical space, like this cafe has very nice chairs, don't you think?
Or the atmosphere.
Yeah, I really love the warm light in here. Or my absolute favorite, the egg sandwich approach.
Oh, the egg sandwich is a brilliant case study in low-stakes human interaction.
It really is. One person simply notices what the other is eating and asks if it's from the cafe. And when the person confirms it is the egg sandwich, the opener follows up with, do you recommend it? Is the bread soft?
I love that detail.
On the surface, asking about soft bread sounds almost silly, but it works flawlessly.
It does. And if we look at the mechanics behind that question, asking for a recommendation is a really powerful psychological tool.
How so?
Well, when you ask someone if they recommend the sandwich, you are instantly showing respect for their judgment.
Oh, that makes sense.
You're temporarily elevating their social status by making them the localized expert on the menu.
I see.
It immediately shifts the dynamic from a potential intrusion into a collaborative, helpful exchange. You're validating their choice to buy that specific sandwich, which just inherently feels good to the human brain.
Okay, so asking about the egg sandwich gets the ball over the net safely.
Right.
But the moment they answer like, yes, the bread is incredibly soft, that familiar panic usually sets in. The ice is broken, but now you actually have to keep the water from freezing over again.
Exactly. The real work begins.
How do you prevent that sudden dead air without instantly becoming intrusive?
This is where we confront a major flaw in how adults communicate. It's a flaw that derails almost all attempts at meaningful connection.
What's the flaw?
People talk entirely too much, and they listen far too little.
Ouch. True, though.
The architecture of a high-quality connection relies heavily on active, demonstrated listening.
Demonstrated listening. It's not just about hearing the acoustic vibrations of their words. It's about proving to the other person that you are absorbing their meaning.
Yes.
And this requires physical markers. You maintain eye contact. You nod your head. You use small, encouraging verbal cues like, oh, I see, or really.
Simple stuff, but we forget it.
We do. Think about how rare it is in our modern, distracted world to actually get someone's undivided, unhurried physical attention.
It's incredibly rare. And the mirroring technique is another classic tool highlighted here.
Mirroring.
Yeah. If the other person says, I love the quiet music here, you respond by gently reflecting that core phrase back to them. You'd say, quiet music. Yes. That is exactly why I come here too.
Oh, I like that.
By repeating their specific phrasing, you provide absolute, undeniable confirmation that their thought landed with you safely.
But out of all the mechanics of listening in the guide, there's one concept that sounds incredibly simple on paper, but when you actually try to execute it, it goes against every single conversational instinct we have.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
The 1-second rule.
Yes. So hard to do.
The rule is this. When the other person finishes their sentence, you must wait exactly 1 second before you answer. You literally count it out in your head. 1 Mississippi.
Right.
And a full second of silence in a conversation feels like a decade.
It really does. And that discomfort reveals a lot about our conversational habits. We often treat conversations as competitive sports, like a race for airtime. Usually, we aren't truly listening. We're just waiting for our turn to speak. We have our response fully loaded in the chamber of our brain, and the literal millisecond the other person's mouth stops moving, we fire it off.
But I feel like if I wait a full second to reply, the other person is gonna, check my pulse.
Right.
Won't they just think I've zoned out or that the conversation has died?
That is the anxiety talking, not reality. The 1 second pause is actually a radical act of restraint. It creates a sense of profound calm and respect in the interaction.
Really? Whole second?
Yes. When you pause, you signal to the other person, I'm not just waiting to talk. I am actively digesting the weight of what you just shared.
That's a great way to frame it.
This is precisely why good listeners are so rare. People intuitively feel the difference between being talked at and being truly heard. That 1 single second of deliberate silence is where psychological safety is built.
It's like letting the conversational dust settle. Okay, so you're listening, you're employing the agonizing, wonderful 1 second pause, you're nodding. But if you just do that forever, you're eventually just staring at a stranger in silence while they eat their sandwich.
True. That would be creepy.
Yeah. You do have to drive the interaction forward, but you want to avoid making it feel like an interrogation.
And this is where we navigate from the shallow end into the deeper waters of the interaction. The key is understanding the massive difference between closed questions and open questions.
Right.
Closed questions yield binary, dead-end answers. Do you like coffee? Yes or no? The conversation hits a brick wall, and the burden is entirely back on you to start a new topic.
Exhausting.
Very. Open questions, however, start with words like what, why, and how. They require the other person to elaborate and paint a picture.
Take people watching, for example, from the text. If someone mentions they like observing the cafe, a closed response is just agreeing, like, yeah, me too.
Which kills the momentum.
Right. But an open question changes the entire trajectory. You ask, what do you notice when watching people?
Yeah. Beautiful question.
Suddenly, you're asking them to act as a philosopher. And it leads to observations about how everyone moves at different speeds. Some people are in a frantic hurry, while others are moving slowly and deliberately.
Yeah.
You have instantly gone from talking about the physical chairs in the room to exploring the human condition, all because you use the word what.
Exactly. Open questions invite reflection rather than just extracting a data point. What do you usually order here? How did you find this cafe? Why do you like sitting by the window?
They give people space to actually answer.
They do. They open the door to a real narrative. They give the other person conversational handholds. But there is a very real danger here. You cannot just fire off open questions endlessly.
Here's where it gets really interesting, the interview trap.
Yes.
If you just ask question after question, the other person starts to feel like they're on the witness stand being cross-examined.
Nobody wants that.
The defense against this is the rule of equal sharing. It has to be a two-way street. If you ask them to reveal something, you have to match that vulnerability.
Reciprocity is the engine that keeps a high-quality interaction moving forward, without feeling draining. If they share a preference or a small detail about their day, you must offer one in return to balance the scales of the conversation.
So if they say they love the pastries at this cafe, you can't just say, cool, why? You chime in with your own experience. I actually tried the soft carrot cake last week. It was incredible.
Exactly.
Or if they say they come to the cafe to decompress after work, you offer up a piece of yourself. Same here. I work in a loud office, so sitting in this cafe is kind of my happy place.
Right. You're trading small, relatable pieces of your humanity.
And this is a very strict boundary for these encounters. You must keep it light and positive.
Oversharing is the quickest way to destroy the psychological safety you just built. A brief encounter in a cafe is not a therapy session.
Definitely not.
The guidelines explicitly state that you should avoid discussing personal money problems, health issues, or politics. The entire goal of this specific type of social interaction is to generate a good feeling, a sense of mutual warmth.
Bringing in heavy, controversial, or deeply distressing topics completely violates the unspoken contract of a casual, high-quality interaction.
It does.
And just as an impartial observation of these rules, the instruction to completely avoid politics is a highly effective way to ensure the conversation remains universally accessible and pleasant, regardless of who you happen to sit next to.
Keep it kind. That's the basic.
Keep it kind, exactly. So we have all these individual deliberate pieces. We have the rigorous reading of the room, the honest, environmentally anchored opener, the demonstrated listening with the 1-second pause, the open questions balanced perfectly with equal light sharing.
It's a solid framework.
But putting all those pieces together in the wild feels a bit like a magic trick. But when it works, it is incredibly fluid. The guide gives this great scenario where two strangers are sitting near each other, both with their drinks.
Yes, the progression of a truly high-quality interaction usually follows a very specific path, starting with the immediate physical environment and slowly peeling back layers.
Right. So it starts with noticing something different. One person looks over and asks an open question about the other person's drink. It's a matcha latte. What does that taste like?
Great open question.
And the other person doesn't just say good, they describe it as earthy. That is a great sensory detail.
Notice the subtle escalation there. It starts with a physical object, the drink.
Mm-hmm.
Then it moves inward to a subjective sensory experience, the taste.
And from there, it transitions beautifully into personal connection. The matcha drinker offers a tiny act of kindness, a tip. If you ask for a little honey, it makes it much smoother.
Reciprocity in action.
Exactly. Then demonstrating that reciprocity, they ask an open question back. Do you come to this cafe often?
Mm-hmm.
And within just a few exchanges, it leads to this incredibly relatable, vulnerable moment where they bond over the fact that working from home can be deeply isolating. They both realize they come to the cafe because it helps to see people and hear life happening around them.
In under 2 minutes, they traveled from, what is that green liquid, to acknowledging a shared human need for community and presence.
It's beautiful, honestly.
It's a highly efficient, deeply resonant connection. But just as important as the connection itself is how the interaction concludes. The boundaries of the space must be respected.
Right.
A high-quality chat with a stranger in a cafe should realistically only be 5 to 10 minutes long.
You absolutely need a graceful exit strategy. You do not want the conversation to drag on until it inevitably becomes awkward, and you're both desperately scanning the room looking for an excuse to escape.
Ending gracefully is paramount because of a psychological concept known as the peak end rule.
The peak end rule.
Yeah. Human beings judge an experience largely based on how they felt at its absolute peak and how they felt at its very end.
Oh, interesting.
By keeping the conversation relatively short and ending it warmly while the energy is still high, you're ensuring that the lasting impression is entirely positive.
Whoa.
You leave them with a lingering sense of goodwill.
Leave them wanting more, not less.
Exactly.
And having a few polite exit scripts ready takes all the anxiety out of the goodbye. The guide shares some great ones. Simple things like, well, I should let you get back to your book.
That's a good one.
Or enjoy the rest of your coffee. Or even just, I really need to get back to these emails, but I really enjoyed our chat.
Yeah, okay.
It's clean, it's respectful, and it leaves the door open for a smile next time you see them.
It is a beautifully structured approach to the unstructured, messy reality of public spaces. It turns randomness into an opportunity for warmth.
There's an analogy used at the end of the source to describe this process that I think captures it perfectly. Learning to connect with strangers, just like learning a completely new language, is like drinking a really good cup of coffee.
Oh,
You don't chug it all at once, you take it one small sip at a time. And every mistake you make, every slightly awkward pause or fumbled question isn't a failure. It's just a way to grow.
I love that.
So, what does this all mean for you, the person listening right now? The mission here is to find a little bit of courage in your daily routine.
Just a little bit.
Next time you are in a cafe, or waiting in a long line, or sitting on a park bench, I challenge you to put your phone in your pocket. Look up. Actively scan the room for a green light.
Look for the eye contact.
And try this framework, even if it is literally just for 30 seconds. Ask about the egg sandwich. Ask about the warm lighting. Wait that agonizing 1 second to reply. See what happens when you deliberately decide to step out of your bubble.
It requires a small leap of faith to break our habitual silence. And I would like to leave you with this final thought to consider. We've spent this entire time discussing how to apply these deliberate, mindful steps to complete strangers. Reading the room, waiting a full second to digest a thought, asking truly open questions, and keeping the exchange balanced and kind. If applying these exact rules can create such a warm, high-quality connection with someone you have never met in under 5 minutes, imagine what applying these exact same beginner rules could do if you brought them home.
Oh, wow.
Could they revitalize a tired conversation with your spouse over dinner? Could they deepen a chat with your oldest friends or your parents? It makes you wonder. As we move through our busy lives, are we sometimes guilty of having the lowest quality social interactions with the people we love the most?